Hello, and welcome. This week's little historic video, on top of our regular gameplay video, will be as of January 11th, 2021. I want to do a kind of analysis of how I think cards in Kaldheim will kind of impact the metagame, if at all. Of course, everything is speculative, and you can only really base things off of what pre-existing decks are already in the format, and even then, almost, of course, everything that I will say is, anecdotal to my own experience. Your mileage and opinions may vary, but hey, that's what the comments are for. We can talk about this civilly, like adults. With that little preamble out of the way, we have a few points to talk about really quick, and then I'll try and go through this video and be pretty speedy with it. Now, as to point number one, the reason why I will be being a little more speedy with these little assessments than I will with potential future versions of this is that I'm simply behind. And I'm using MTG Goldfish right now, and I have the Kaldheim spoilers sorted by, if I'm correct, the first leak to what will be the most current, again, as of the 11th. I will probably do another one of these maybe next week, or I might do one right before the set releases. We'll figure out. I will attempt to just give a little 2 cents on how I think they'll impact the format. Of course, what I experience in my meta and in my experience will vary from yours, but hey, that's what comments are for. Again, we can talk about this like adults. So I think that's all. Oh, and the third thing. I'm kind of jury-rigging this whole setup together, so pardon any sort of weird technical issues, or if it looks like total crap, it probably does, but I'm also making do with what I have. So, with that out of the way, we're going to attempt to try and do this real quick, or as quick as we can. And of course, we'll just go left to right, oldest, or the first released, or first spoiled card to most recent. Now, let's see, the first, 1, 2, 3, 4 are completing the pathway lands. Of course, this is just fast mana for the format. It's always good. It's not going to be bad. If you, are running a deck with the prerequisite colors, you'll run them. There's no reason not to. They're a rare land cycle and a good one. So I don't think we need to really worry about that. Showdown of the Skalds. Let's see. 2 red and a white for a saga. First chapter, exile the top 4 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You can play those cards. And then the second and third chapter are whenever you cast a spell this turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. There's not really a whole lot of Boros decks in the format as of now. It'll be nice to have, a little bit of draw, but you could arguably get better effects in the form of, your experimental frenzies, or even, hell, if you want to get real spicy, like Advance's Blasting Cannon. If you have them, it's not bad. It's 4 mana impulse, draw 4, so it's fine. Honestly, unless you can find a really good +1/+1 counters, payoff in Boros colors, I wouldn't run this card simply because the second and third chapter, it requires you already have a creature on the board, and yes, any creature likes to get +1/+1 counters, but let's assume that in Boros you're hitting this on turn 4. You're going to give a 5-drop a +1/+1 counter or 2? It's got to be really big and scary in red and white, which I just don't think is going to happen. So 3 stars out of 5, if I had to give one. Pirate Heroes, 2 mana artifact. Tap 2 and sack a creature. Search your library for a creature card that serves a creature type with the sack creature and has a CMC of 1 plus that creature's mana cost. Put that card onto the battlefield and shuffle. Do this as a sorcery. Okay, so it's Tribal Birthing Pod. which is not bad. It's actually a pretty cheap Birthing Pod, all thing, or Tribal Pod, I guess if you want to call it that. Is it a... It's a tribal card, or a tribal synergy card, so it does make my heart pitter-patter. But is it really that good? There are not a whole lot of tribes that have a lot of, terribly good enter the battlefield synergy as of the moment. Vampires kind of don't want... Vampires and Merfolk don't really want to run it, and those are, probably the two... Or my own two little personal tribal payoff, tribal theme decks. They don't really want those. They just want lords and dudes hitting the body and beating you down. You could argue maybe a Pyre of Heroes would be good and maybe a Goblins deck, but there's nothing to take you from 5 CMC to 6 CMC to get a Muxus out earlier. Unless you want to start running Siege Gang commanders in those decks, which isn't the worst idea. I'm gonna say 4 only because it's tribal love and it's anything tribal, but it's a 3 or a 4 out of 5, depending on if you really enjoy tribal decks. Will it see play? Probably. Will it shake the format to its core? I really don't think so. Let's see. Oh my god. There we go. Magda Brazen Outlaw, 1 in a red for legendary creature Dwarf Berserker. Other dwarves you control get +1/+0. Whenever a dwarf creature you control becomes tapped, create a treasure token, and you can set 5 treasures to search your library for an artifact or dragon, put it on the field and shuffle. It's a good commander card, but that's also been talked about by much more... Well, it's a good commander card, but that's not why we're here. For historic. Unless there's some really, really... Well... I could see this actually seeing some degree of play, but it's almost... I mean, the dwarf attack boost is okay, and you might have to... Unless there's some good... Either, say, the Realm Walker Changeling, unless you're running a lot of dwarves, or some 7 dwarfs goofy deck, I don't know if you're going to be able to generate enough treasures from, tokens, but if you wanted to run this in maybe, a low-to-the-ground... kind of maybe a Rakdosi treasure deck. Maybe you can do something there and cheat out some big dragons. If I had to give it a 5 out of 5 star rating for how I think it'll do in historic, maybe a 3. Either yes, you can ramp into a whole bunch of big things. But there's not... I mean, yeah, a 3 out of 5 stars. There's things to ramp into, but boy, you're going to need to hit something big like a Daragaz or something and, kill an opponent. And there's no, Torpor Orb or whatever that one artifact is in, your Moderns and Legacies and stuff. So, yeah, a 3 out of 5. Realm Walker. Okay. 2 and a green for a... 2/3 Shapeshifter, which is a changeling, so he has every creature card type at all times. As Realm Walker enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. Okay. In terms of historic, I mean, it's a nice filler card. If you have... Well, the only real... Okay. Technically, it's a changeling. It can go in any form of tribal. So, it's not bad, say, if you want to play, a Goblins deck and you want to have, say... If you want to, splash green in your Goblins deck and have another sort of kind of conspicuous Snoop style effect to look through your deck, maybe I could see that. But Merfolk, which is basically... At least as I consider it, Merfolk is a Simic deck. Of course, you can go mono green or mono blue, but it shines as Simic. Realm Walker is a little kind of weird. I mean, it's not bad if you have it, but Merfolk and Historic already have Explore in the form of a Jadelight Ranger and a Branch Walker, so you don't really lack for card draw. But say if... that was a long time. Ixalan has been a few years now. if you don't have the rares and you happen to, you know, run a couple, or if you only have a couple of J-Lights or no J-Light Rangers, it's a good replacement. Because it might go into goblins and could actually help it like get even better draws with all the good mana in the format, I'll actually give this a 4 out of 5. It's got like good tribal synergy and can empower a really good deck even more, and it might actually lift some other ones up because it helps those tribes that don't necessarily have a buttload of card draw get access to something they might otherwise lack. Kaya the Inexorable, a 5-mana planeswalker will likely, I mean, it's a Naya color, or it's an Esper color, so it'll probably see some sort of... Sorry, it's Orzhov, so it's in the Esper color pie. So, Let's see, 3, a white and a red for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. Put a ghost form counter on up to one target non-token creature. It gains when this creature dies, or is put into exile. Return it to its owner's hand and create a 1/1 spirit token with flying. 3, exile a non-land. 7, you get a emblem with the beginning of your upkeep. You may cast a legendary spell from your hand, your graveyard, or among you cards you own in exile without paying its mana cost. Okay, so yeah, in some sort of, again, it will likely be in legendary spell. So yeah, maybe its most likely form will probably be some sort of like Esper control. I imagine this might bring it back up to the surface a little bit. So that's where I see its big home. I might, if I open 1 or 2 of these, it might go in. I might remake, or it might go in the new remake version of Abzan Legends Matter, because I've seen some of these spoilers, and I might actually be able to make that. So, man, but that +1 is not terribly great. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5, even though I think it has homes in more control-y mid-range decks. Because you got to work really hard on yeah, it's like 3 out of 5. You got to work really, really hard to like actually get those 2 upticks. Say, unless you can get some sort of weird doubling season style, like whatever that Phyrexian dude we'll talk about later. So yeah, 3 out of 5. It can elevate mid-rangey decks. I see a home for it somewhere. Oop. I'm gonna have to scroll wheel all of these. See, Halvar, God of Battle, 2 and 2 white for a 4/4 equipment god. Creatures you control that are enchanted or equipped have double strike. It's not bad. At the beginning of each combat, you may attach target aura or equipment attached to a creature you control to target creature you control. Okay, so you can move auras and equipment around, which are nice. And the flip side of the card is Sword of the Realms. 1 and a white for legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/0 and has vigilance. Whenever the equipped creature dies, return it to its owner's hand. And then you can equip it for its cost of 1 and a white. That's not bad. If you're... This might see a home. The only pre-existing deck where I think this could possibly go in, both Halvar and the Sword, would probably be some form of Enchantress. Of course, Azorius Enchantress is more often than not the more popular one. But hell, there's videos on this channel of Boros Enchantress and the occasional Selesnya Enchantress. We can make some things happen here. 4 out of 5 because it'll like empower an existing archetype that sees fringe play, and it also tickles my pickle for Enchantress decks, which are fun. Seraph, Realm Eater. Oh yeah, this is a really cool dog. 1, a black and a green for a 3/3 legendary wolf. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on Seraph. At the beginning of your upkeep, if Seraph has 1 or more +1/+1 counters, you remove all of them. If you do, okay, so you may remove all or none of them. If you do, exile each other non-land permanent with converted mana cost less than or equal to The number of counters removed this way. It's a 3-mana 3/3 that is you can't see me air quoting, but is an air quote repeatable removal. Doesn't really fit into any deck right now, although the fact that it is a wolf, there is some sort of Garrick Hunt's Master of the Hunt kind of Golgari wolf deck that this might go in. But I mean, as of right now, it doesn't really add anything to any existing archetype. Maybe other than like a Sultai mid-rangey thing that show up every once in a while. And as I understand it, yeah, the first part is when it goes from graveyard to the battlefield, but the second half exiles, which I imagine was how R&D balanced the card. So I'll give it a 4 to 5. It will help pump up an existing deck in the form of like your Sultai mid-range decks, which will enjoy at worst, the elk body of a 3-mana 3/3. And if you happen to exile your, we'll go with 4 out of 5, but that's like a real wishy-washy 4 out of 5 because it can be a real non-bow in the way that some Sultai mid-range decks wants to play. A Sultai mid-range decks want to play. Yeah, pardon. So yeah, and of the 4 out of 5, really what made it a 4 out of 5 and not a 3 is I see some really fun wolf tribal deck that might exist. So we got that going for us. And now that I think about it, well, the next card is Toski, Bearer of Secrets. 3 and a green for a legendary creature squirrel, because squirrels are memes in Magic. Fucking Christ. Oh, okay. 3 mana and a green for a 1/1 squirrel legendary that can't be countered and is indestructible and attacks each combat if able. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. These last 3 cards, and also cards we'll see further in the future, do kind of support that the Abzan Color Pie gets a lot of Legends synergy. So, some Kethis Legends Matter Abzan deck, it might happen if we get, good opens. But as for Toski individually, I just don't think it's that good. Like, I mean, I can see it being a commander meme card, but again, we're here for historic. It's just never... I'd be very surprised if it sees genuine play. Now, for that reason, like, is it an actively bad card? No. Is there some meme potential? Yeah. And can I maybe, in some bizarro world kind of situation, see some card decks playing it? Yeah, maybe. So we'll give it like a 2 out of 10. Mostly meme, but I can see some very fringe applications. Invasion of the Giants. God, I hope there's a Is It Giant Lord? So maybe I can make my second commander deck, but that's neither here nor there. Invasion of the Giants is a blue and a red for a saga. First chapter is Scry 2. Second chapter is draw a card, then you may reveal a giant card from your hand. Invasion of the Giants deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. The third chapter is the next giant spell you cast this turn costs 2 less to play. Okay, the scrying part and the pinging part, they are okay. In Historic, the Izzet color pairing, as a member of the Izzet League myself, is not something we lack, like, access to. But is it worth it for potential giant payoffs? Yeah. But will it see play? You will never, ever, ever, ever see it play in Historic, or hell, even in Commander, outside of a giant synergy deck. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. Or 3 out of 5. Because I can see it being All right, not that bad. And the fact that it's uncommon is pretty good for like a budget deck. So yeah, 3 out of 5, good budget, nice card draw, and some fun tribal synergy in the form of giants. Next is Nico Aris. This card. X, a white and 2 blue for a 3 mana planeswalker. And Nico Aris enters the battlefield with X shard tokens, which are enchantments with you can pay 2 mana to sacrifice this enchantment, scry 1, then draw a card. So, New Age clues, which is not bad. I mean, it's alright. It's good. Let's see. Their uptick. Nico is, I believe, non-binary, so we're just gonna go real safe and pick some gender-neutral theys, so I can, attempt to be polite and not rock the boat and all that. Well, goodbye, sweetheart. I love you. Nico Aris' uptick. See, up to 1 target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. When that creature is dealt damage this turn. When that creature deals damage this turn, you may return it to its owner's hand. Its downtick is Nico Aris deals 2 damage to target tapped creature for each card you've drawn this turn. Oh god, that's so narrow. Dear god. Which is, I guess, good for a 3-mana walker. And then his downtick is create another shard, where again, they are a enchantment token with pay 2, sack it, you can scry 1, then draw a card. It's a very roundabout way to get sort of card draw and curation, which isn't bad, I guess. So, Nico Aris, if I had to give it a rudimentary star rating, I think it will go 2 out of 10. But it's like a good 2 out of 10. Its uptick is okay for some sort of blue-whitey kind of tempo-y thing. But it's a blue-white tempo that has to not mind creatures getting bounced back to hand. Like, it wants to, like, make use of some enter the battlefield triggers. So, The -1 is a very situational. Well, let's assume that you don't draw anything when you use it. So it has to be a tapped creature on your opponent's side of the board that you really want dead. You can reliably assume you've drawn 1 card for the turn. So yeah, it's like a good balance. And then -1 is creating a shard token, which is not the worst. Again, it's card draw you can bank on later. So yeah, we'll go with like a 2 out of 10, but it's a good 2 out of 10. It's good because it's balanced. It's not like totally batshit crazy for like a 3-mana walker. It's not like your Teferi Time Revelers. So it's a good solid 2, and is kind of where I want 3-mana walkers to be. And I guess it gets better if you manage to pump mana into it. Although you could find better things to pump your mana into in a Azorius colored deck. Pardon about that. Next card is Valki, God of Lies. 1 in a black for a 2/1 legendary god. When Valki enters the battlefield, each opponent reveals their hand. For each opponent, exile a creature card they reveal this way until Valki leaves the battlefield. X is choose a creature card, exile the Valki with a converted mana cost of X, and then it becomes a copy of that card. And then its reverse side, or its modal side, is Tibalt Cosmic Imposter, which won, as a red player, hell yeah, more Tibalt, and this Tibalt's actually kind of good. 5 mana for a red, 5 mana and a black and a red for a 5 mana, or 5 loyalty, sorry. Tibalt, where it enters the battlefield and you get an emblem with, you may play cards exiled with Tibalt Cosmic Imposter, and you may spend mana as though there were mana of any color to cast his spells. Okay. So he's a very weirdly kind of overcosted sort of draw engine, which is fine, I guess. His +2 is exile the top card of each player's library, which you could then cast with. Cast the cards you exile in question due to the emblem, which is actually not that bad. Down 3, you can exile target artifact or creature, which you can then also cast. Okay, alright. And then -8 is exile all cards from all graveyards and add 3 mana. 3 red mana. Okay, so that's actually not that bad. It's overcosted on... Sorry. Purpose? Hi, sweetheart. Welcome back. Oh, okay, we're gonna hang out? Yeah. I don't care what you're doing, Cat Dad. I need pets and cuddles. Which is fine. Anywho. Okay. Valky God of Lies is sort of... kind of... It's like very loose, very narrow, temporary, like, hand disruption, which is good. And you can also become a copy of it, of whatever you happen to exile with it, which is nice, but it can brick a lot. And it's a 2/1, so it dies to like everything. But that's not awful for a 2 mana. And the reverse side is a little bit overcosted way to, like, either... He's a little bit of an overcosted, like, remove or draw some things and, like, bank them aside to cash in for later. But I believe it's balanced around this way. Or because it is a dual-face card that can be a 2-drop or a 7-drop, you might actually see some play. Because you might not ever get to 7 mana, but if you do, hey-ho, you have Tibalt to get you some extra gas. Or to get rid of some problem stuff and then turn that problem stuff against its owner. Which is pretty good. And Valky's alright. So, like, 3 out of 5, probably because it's a pretty good, solid card. I don't think it's going to set the world on fire, either Valky or Tibalt. But I believe that is kind of the point. Isn't that... Hi, hun. Once again, you have made doing this kind of a pain in the ass. If you weren't so cute, I might be upset. Now, we shall go to the next one. And we're gonna do the scroll wheel for this. Ah, yes. Big Daddy Cosmos. Alrund, God of the Cosmos. 3 and 2 white. Oh, this is the front-facing side. 3 and 2 blue, sorry. For a 1/1 legendary creature god, where Alrund gets +1/+1. Pardon? I'm really sorry for that, but I have a cat on one of my arms, so I literally could not Alt-Tab to mute the microphone. Let's see. 5 is 3 and 2 blue for a 1/1 god. It gets +1/+1 for each card in your hand and each foretold card you own in exile. At the beginning of your end step, choose a card type. Reveal the top 2 cards of your library and put all the chosen cards, or put all cards of the chosen type into your hand. Rest go on the bottom. That's the front side. I'm not enthralled with the first side. Backside is Haka Whispering Raven. 1 and a blue for a 2/3 legendary bird with flying, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, return it to its owner's hand, then scry 2. The Raven's actually pretty good. It's alright, actually. It's not bad. Could I see Halka and even Alrund maybe going into like mono blue tempo? Yeah. I would imagine the Alrund would probably only be like a big honkin' boy you use once you've locked the game in. But what actually might see play is weirdly the Raven. Hi, hun. A 2-mana 2/3. I know it might seem weird. You just don't... Yeah, if you run this, it'll be in a mono blue tempo deck, probably. That you don't want, or you shouldn't, air quotes, really enchant it with your curious obsessions and all that. But it is nice to just have a 2-mana 2/3 body early that you can, if you need to, attack to help filter your draws. And once the Raven has kind of served its use in the first few turns of the game, and you like can't really do anything with the body, but you can say get a flyer in, it's nice to be able to cash it in to do something with it, or to basically get use out of Alrund. So actually, this is going to be a 3 out of 5. just because it's an okay card with has the potential to at least somewhat help a existing deck. But it's not, I don't think it will like make, a mono blue tempo deck like Miss Burchett, piloted, which sees play pretty or relatively consistently in Historic. I don't think it's gonna like make that deck the new king, but it will be nice and it probably will be useful. Hell, maybe if you don't have like your Tempest Djinns, you might actually run this in response. So it's like a 3, but like a good solid 3 that's like pretty high. Like a good high 3. Pardon, I need to get a drink. I haven't thought about how long this would take to do. Isn't that right, baby girl? Next spell. Alrund's Epiphany. 5 and 2 white. For a sorcery, create 2, 1/1. Pardon, my voice is struggling. Sorry, we'll try that one more time. Let's see. 5 and 2 white. Sorcery, create 2, 1/1 blue bird. Creature tokens with flying. Take an extra turn after this one. And exile Alrund's Epiphany, which is good. It should hopefully help to, like, potentially avert your Nexus of Fate problems of being able to, like, pretty easily, at least in Historic, like, loop and take basically an infinite amount of turns, with your Tatiovas or whatever, and all that jazz. But the Foretell cost is 4 and 2, so you can get it a turn earlier if you bank 2 mana earlier. It might actually see play. Maybe your Omniscience, like trying to chain a whole bunch of extra turn together decks, which used to be very popular before Nexus got banned. Would probably we'll probably see, at least for like a week or two, some extra play as they try and get this to work. I'd be very surprised if you didn't see this with like your Time Stream Navigator style effects. So yeah, like a 3. Actually, I'm gonna give this a 2. But yeah, this is like a shaky 2 that might actually be a 3 that I might need to eat my words later. It helps. It basically helps out only one deck that hasn't seen play for a hot minute. Will people, for again the first like week of release after Kaldheim, maybe dust out the old Nexus of Fate loop deck, try and make some shit happen? Yeah. But I don't know if, even with all the Uros and Growth Spirals and Explorers, you can get this pretty easily. I am glad that R&D did add the Exile clause, because this is what makes it balanced. So we're going to give it like a good solid high 2. That's like balanced, but will clearly see play in a deck archetype. Next is Augury Raven. 3 and a blue for a 3/3 bird. We're in commons now. Flying and Foretell for 1 and a blue, which, okay. Pay 2 to bank 2. That's not bad. It's fine. It's like not gonna set the world on fire, but it's a good card. Do I see this potentially seeing play in draft? Yeah, but I don't really play draft. I'm a constructed man myself, with the exception of Jumpstart. Will it really see play in Historic constructed outside of like starter decks and the like a free deck or a starter deck? This is one of those like instructional cards. You probably won't see play unless Foretell happens to just, like in the case of Alrund, just absolutely take off. So there is that. Next is Behold the Multiverse. 3 and a blue for an instant, scry 2, then draw 2. With Foretell for 1 and a blue, and then... So... This might actually see play, maybe. That Behold, it might actually see play in the aforementioned Epiphany Infinite Turn Loop deck, if it sees play anywhere. As I imagine, just because a card has Foretell, it doesn't change when it can be played. So in that, the go back up actually. Alrund's Epiphany likely is still a sorcery even with the Foretell cost, I imagine, is how R&D is going to make that rule stick, as it should. Oops, sorry. So yeah, Behold the Multiverse. It'd be like a 3-mana card. It's like 3 mana. Or that 3 mana. It's a 3-star out of 5. Because it's a fine card draw spell. Is probably better if you manage to use it for its Foretell cost, but at worst, it's a fine card draw spell. That might be very strong in your Time Walk style decks because it allows you to dig so deep. It's like Big Boy, I think, what's it called? Card called Preordained. But yeah, it's a good 3 because it's an alright card draw spell that might really be good in a certain style of deck. Elvish Warmaster. 1 and a green for a creature. A 2/2 elf warrior. When one or more other elves you control enter the battlefield under your turn, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. And for 5 and 2 green, elves you control get +2/+2 and gain death touch till the end of the turn. I mean, it's an okay elf. If you have him in a historic, well, I would say mono green, but as we'll discover later, elves can also kind of be a little bit of Golgari here in historic. But it really, regardless if you play it as mono green or like Golgari, it's an okay card. It doesn't necessarily, at least historically in historic, elves are more of a go wide and then win with copies of Crater Hoof or Indra's Forerunners. But I could see like your more kind of individually more beefy kind of elf deck. Your not your Dwynen's Elite, but whatever the Rin's Vanguard, the Rin's 3-mana, 2-mana 3/3 Death Toucher style, like smaller but chunkier elf decks. This might actually see some play, as you're playing only like 1 or 2 of them a turn. And, I mean, it's nice. The extra, or the old, we'll call it an old, because that's basically what it is, of making all your elves bigger is nice. You'd probably, it's almost kind of like a, if you don't have Allosaurus Shepherd, here's a good card kind of thing. So yeah, honestly, it's like a 4 out of 5. Not gonna set the world on fire. You only run it in an elf deck, but it's gonna be good in an elf deck. 4 out of 5. Frostbite. 1 red for a snow instant. Where Frostbite deals 2 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If you control 3 or more snow permanents, deal 3 damage instead. I'm gonna kind of mimic what everyone else has said about Frostbite here, because I more or less share their critique of it. If the way that snow is being counted by and large, well, okay, I know some of the cards aren't the case, but I like this is, oh, that would be your sissy. Yes, I know. Your sissy is in box. Yeah, she just has a different box than you. Ugh. Pardon. The cat has moved, so I can readjust. So yeah, Frostbite. Will you have a lot of snow permanents? Maybe. Maybe. Of course, you'd only run it if you were doing a snow deck. So let's assume that you're doing it for the 1 mana 3 damage to a creature or a walker, as I think that's the only time you'll really cast it unless you're truly desperate. It's okay. Like, we'll go like 2 out of 10 It's not bad, but it's like it's okay on a good day with some fringe applications to like be all right. So yeah, we'll go like 2 out of 5. Yeah, I know, sweetheart. Let's see. I do apologize for the noise, but we're kind of stuck here. As, you know, I live in a... I know. What's your sissy doing? Oh, I got, like, room now. So, yeah, I do apologize. We're just going to have to go through this. Thank you for your patience. Cole the Forge Master is red and white for a 2/2 legendary creature Dwarf Warrior. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, if it was enchanted or equipped, return it to its owner's hand. Creature tokens you control that are enchanted or equipped have +1/+1. Again, as you can see, as I've demonstrated, I do love an Enchantress deck. Maybe the equipment part will be more relevant now. Yeah, mark up the box. But it's... so yeah, in the term of Enchantress, Boros Enchantress, this deck is a goddamn all-star. Because it sucks to have your things die. And it's low to the ground, it's a bear at worst, it's much more than that. I'm going to actually give this a 4 out of 5. It has a place in an existing deck, granted, a deck that only I really play. So that might be coloring that 4 out of 5 a little bit. But I think that other people will see this as a potential enchant or equip kind of synergy card. It's okay on its own. It goes good into pre-existing decks. It might actually, if not spawn new decks in the form of more equipment-oriented ones, might actually pull people's attention to more Boros Enchantress style, you know, builds. Hell, it's uncommon. We might do another Boros Enchantress video as another video, or a new one, once Kaldheim comes out with Cole in it. So there's that. So yeah, 4 out of 5. Masked Vandal. 1 and a green for a 1/3 shapeshifter. Which is, let's call them changelings. It's easier. When it enters the battlefield, you may exile a card from your graveyard. If you do, exile target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. I'm going to actually call this a 1 out of 5 in constructed. Maybe if you're drafting, I could see this being like okay, like a 2, like it's a filler. You're not like pack one, pick one-ing this thing, but in constructed, it's like a 1 out of 5. The only thing that like makes it possibly, maybe, might see 1 in 1,000 play is the changeling, maybe, and even then, I'm not committed. I'm not convinced. But the important thing is that like, it's just such a high cost to exile an artifact or enchantment. You're in green, as evidenced by the Masked Vandal being a green card. You already have access to like bountiful artifact and enchantment hate. Unless the exile is super relevant, but even then I sincerely doubt that would be the case, as you have to... Well, you may. No, you have to in order for... Yeah, it's like a 1 out of 5. I just don't ever see a place where this will really work, outside of like teaching decks. Old growth troll. Ugh. 3 green for a 4/4 troll warrior with trample. Oh god, another fucking mountain of text. I'm gonna also kind of mimic a lot of Pleasant Kenobi's thoughts on this card, but yeah, a 3 mana 4/4 troll warrior with trample. When old growth troll dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield. It's now an aura enchantment with enchant a forest you control, and the enchanted forest has tap to add 2 green, and it also has 1 and tap to sacrifice this land that it's attached to, and of course the needless to say, the now enchantment that it is, to create a tapped 4/4 green troll warrior creature token with trample. I mean, again, mirroring a Pleasant Kenobi point, it can't like it can't like attack into a Lovestruck beast and dies, and that'll see fringe play. It can't hit into like a questing beast, so like there are already things that are more or less doing what it's doing but better. Do you really value? Okay, let's, because this boy is hovering around like a 2. So let's give it the benefit of the doubt and assume you're gonna like kind of sort of high roll with it. It is a, let's say you aren't, well, we're in historic, so yeah, we'll go. As I said earlier, we'll give it like the benefit of the doubt. Let's say you turn 1 forest and then mana dork. It can be a land of war. It can be a gilded goose. Does not matter. Turn 2, you play the old growth troll. You pass. Let's say your opponent left open fucking a kill spell because they're in black. Why not? Or we'll just say it. Well, again, somehow it dies. It gets countered. It gets, blown up. What have you. So then you're like, what? On turn 3, you have like a land that can tap for 2 green. So I guess it can like hop you to Nissa on turn 3, but also if you still have your Land of War Elf, you're on turn 6. Maybe. And then I guess if you want to cash in a land to make basically another old growth troll. God, it's like 2 out of 10. Like, it's not awful. It's just not good. It's like in this weird, like, very mid, might see some play here and there. Hey, if you've played the game or you go out to your local game store, like you should, and maybe you buy like one of those pre-con decks, and I hope they still come with arena codes. It's not a bad learning rare to show you that like rares can be cool, but it's not actively bad. It's just I don't see it ever really seeing play anywhere like a 2 out of 5. Saryl's Packmate for 3 and a green for a 3/3 wolf. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. And you can foretell it for 2. So for 2 installments of 2 mana, you can get a 3/3 that enters the battlefield and draws a card. I mean, the body it's like a 3/3 wolf. It's okay. Again, it's a good teaching card in that it shows a mechanic. It's a good common in that, like, it's not the worst thing. At most, you might... Hi, honey. What? You might see play in, like, a wolf deck, but then it'll quickly get replaced once you get, like, wild cards to get better cards. It's like a 1, honestly. It's not awful, but it's just like a 1 out of 5. Sigrid, God Favored. I remember this card. Sigrid for 1 and 2 white for a 2/2 with flash, first strike, and protection from God creatures. And when Sigrid enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target attacking or blocking creature. Hi, honey. Hello. Welcome back. Well, I had a couple minutes left. Hi. Hello. The baby. Hello. Hello. I love you. Okay. Pardon. One of the baby cats needs attention because she doesn't know how to exist on her own. Hi, honey. Yeah, good girl. I love you. I'm patting you. This is okay. In historic, I know, again, to mimic a Pleasant Kenobi criticism, in almost all circumstances, it's better to have a Skyclave apparition, to which I agree. It might see play because of the human or warrior subtype in historic, because there is a little bit of support for both warriors and humans in the card pool. The Flash and First Strike is not bad for combat tricking, as well as temporarily exiling an attacker or blocker, so you can make better trades. So, like, that's not awful. And my first point of the protection from God creatures might be a little more relevant in Historic. Seeing how, like, pretty much God creatures do see a good degree of, like, play. Granted, it's mostly, like, the Locust God. Or the occasional, like, Heliod in, like, your Soul Sister style decks. So, in Historic, that protection from God creatures, as well as that World Tree card, which we'll get to in a minute, that might come into play. So, with some so-so combat potential and some so-so removal potential, and might sometimes somewhat be relevant protection clause, and some bits and pieces of your, like, say, your Kudros, or whatever that 3-mana Warrior Lord is. We'll go, like, 2 out of 5. Like, not actively bad, but it's going to be real niche, and even then, he'll be really iffy. Next is Varagoth, Blood Sky Sire. See, 2 in a red, 2 in a black for a legendary Demon Rogue. That's 2/3 with Death Touch and Boast. 1 in a black. Target player searches their library for a card, then shuffles their library and puts that card on top of it. Activate this ability only if a creature attacked this turn, and only once. Okay, this is a commander political card all day long. Being able to basically give someone a tutor is great if you're more political. In Historic, however, you don't play it in Rogues, tribal-wise, because doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really have evasion of any sort. You can't, like, hold up your mana to, like, do something on your opponent. Or you can't play it with Flash, like all of the good Rogues in the format do. So the Rogue part is out. That's not really a thing. Demon doesn't really have any support, so that's a non-issue. It's a 2/3 with Death Touch that when something attacks, you can once a turn make somebody. I mean, well, it's like a 2 out of 3, I guess. A 2 out of 3, 2 out of 5, I guess. Because you're almost never gonna. Oh God, it's like. I'm actually going to give it a 1. I'm going to downgrade it from a 2 to a 1 out of 5. You can just play, like, a Witchclaw Talisman and, like, be able to dodge removal. And just, like, because if you're. The only time you ever tutor in the format is for a WinCon. And you don't intend for the game to go any further past that. And because it's a creature, it can die real easy. So, yeah, like a 1 out of 5. We're just gonna clump all of the snow duels into, like, one category here. So there's a we'll call them by their Ravnican names. There is a Boros Snow Tapland, a Selesnya, an Azorius, a Gruul, a Dimir, a Simic, a Orzhov, a Rakdos, and an Izzet, and a Golgari. So, we'll just pick these. I think these are fucking fantastic, by the way. Simply because I have, like, it's snow, it's really easy, it's common. It will probably be. Well, first of all, as far as uncommon land cycles, common, like, land cards in the history of Magic, these are the best, bar none, not even close. Before, it was like those gain 1 life lands. these are so, oh my god, unbelievably good. Not only because, again, it's a snow land, so that will be relevant in all formats, not just historic. Of course, it's color fixing at common that's really good, that has pre-existing synergy. And the fact that they're named, so you can say find them with certain cards, is a fucking massive, massive thing. This is gonna sound silly, but I'm gonna call these like 5 out of 5, the whole land cycle, but it's like a big old asterisk. I think these things are fucking amazing. Like, they're just great budget alternatives for people getting in that need some like mana sources. It's like a 5 out of 5 with a big old asterisk in that, like, as far as like common land, it's just, I think these are cards are absolutely great. And because snow might be that prevalent, it may be, yeah, we'll call it a 5 out of 5 for the whole cycle. They're really good. And then we just have the absolutely gorgeous snow-covered lands. So pretty, and the art is gorgeous. They might be the new thing that you just run now. So you can also, like, I believe Mr. Gavin Verhey talked about in Good Morning Magic, where, like, you can now bluff having, I mean, if you really want to, because I hope these work like all other lands, and you just like get them. But even then, like, you can bluff having snow even if your deck doesn't have snow like synergy. So these are like 5 out of 5. I love these. They look cool. They have good uses. I'm also a sucker for cool lands, so color me jaded. The art's gorgeous too. God damn, they're gorgeous. Oh, and they're previewing for like less than $1. Fuck yeah. If I can get these bad boys in my Atarka World Render Commander deck, you bet your sweet ass I will. Vorinclex. This monster mamma jamma of a card. I'm a little concerned this card might be a little silly in your Simic ramp decks. Vorinclex, Monstrous Raider. A 4 and 2 green for 6 mana for Phyrexian Praetor. Because, you know, the Phyrexians, they're either actively invading the plane of Kaldheim, or they're, like, probing and sending, like, you know, more scouting style parties. But, of course, I mean, Phyrexians are pretty cool. It's a sick, yeah, anywho. The actual card itself, see, 6/6, trample and haste. Oh, right, I remember. I'm gonna shorthand these. First line is if you, the player in question, us, would put a counter on a permanent you control, put double that. And if your opponent would put a counter on something, put half of them on that, rounded down. It's dangerous because it can like lead to immediate Ugin ults and stuff on Planeswalkers, which is where I think it will actually see play. I could see this maybe being a 5 out of 5. It's a cool card. It's got fucking gorgeous art. It alludes to like some very fan favorite, and even I love me some Phyrexians, so it's like got story implications, even if they're not like fully invading the plane. And he's just like some sort of maybe an exile-y thing, or some sort of like scouting party for Phyrexia, or new Phyrexia. I think it's great. The body itself is not bad. The doubling season for you and halving season for your opponent is really important. It also shuts off like upticking for 1 Planeswalkers. I can actually see this card being a 5 out of 5 stars. Now, I might be eating my words later because I might not see play, but I think it will. There's enough ramp in the format that you can easily get to a 6 mana on turn 3 if you play your shit right. So yeah, 5 out of 5. On to the next one. Let's see. Glimpse the Cosmos. 1 in a blue for a sorcery. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. 1 in your hand, rest on the bottom in any order. As long as you can control a giant, you can cast Glimpse the Cosmos from your graveyard by paying 1 blue rather than playing its normal mana cost. And if you cast it this way and it would put into your graveyard, exile it instead. If there's like a good like giant deck, it might see some play. Being able to cast it for the 1 if you control a giant is what probably makes this like a good 2, because you only really run it in giant decks. And if you do, it's actually not too bad there. So we'll give it like a 2 out of 5. Inca Rune Eyes, 3 and a blue for a legendary human wizard. That's 3/3. Enters the battlefield, scries 3. When it dies, draw 3 cards if 3 or more creatures die this turn. I think this, and I love me some wizards. I don't see this. Wait, every path charted by an Omen Seeker. Hey, it references Omen Seeker. Or I think that's the card. Anywho. Oh god. 4 mana, 3/3. Even if it is human wizard, for scrying 3. As a person who plays wizards, it's the only way that it exists really in any modern incarnation. Which again, I seem to be the only one that runs it or plays it. It's like pretty goddamn quick and fast. It cannot afford a 4 mana, enters the battlefield, scry 3, and does nothing. Has no evasion, no speed. It doesn't even draw you the cards, it just curates your draws. And only time it can draw you cards, it might draw you 3 if 3 or more creatures died. So you're losing 4 things on board. 3, well, okay, no. So you're actually it might work. Even then, it's not going to change that. It's like a 1 out of 5. We'll say that if it counts itself when it dies, you're losing 3 cards to draw 3. So you've gone net even on cards there, and you've actually gone down a card to play it. It's like a 1 out of 5. I don't think this card will see any play at all in Historic. I don't even think it's a good commander card. Next, Reflections of Litjara. 4 and a blue for an enchantment as Reflections of Litjara enters the battlefield. Choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, copy that spell. A copy of a permanent spell becomes a token. It's nice. It's like, you know, everything is a Minotaur tribal kind of thing. It's like 2 out of 10. Yeah, it's like a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. 2 out of 5, sorry. 2 out of 5. Pretty niche, but not bad in like a good, like, kind of beefier sort of enter the battlefield. Doesn't mind having the tokens. As a blue deck, it won't see play in Wizards. It's too slow. The only other blue sort of tribal deck you see is, again, Merfolk. It's too slow. You wouldn't really see it. But I see potential for it to do some stuff, and it's fun. So we'll go like a 2 out of 5. Goldspan Dragon. 3 and 2 red for a 4/4 dragon with flying and haste. Whenever Goldspan Dragon attacks or becomes the target of a spell, create a treasure. And then all future treasures have sacked this artifact, add 2 mana of any one color. I could see this actually, maybe some Revel in Riches, again, like Rakdos deck that we sort of alluded to earlier with the Dwarf. Maybe that'll happen. That I could see that becoming like a real thing. So like, and even then, it's not like an awful card on its own. We'll go like, it has haste, which is important. We'll go like a 2. It's a good card. It might like help an existing archetype or a sort of like meme deck get another kind of tool that might actually take it a little bit from meme into like goofy deck that sometimes works in your like Revel and Riches style decks, or maybe even like some sort of God synergy deck, which has been alluded to before from the World Tree, which we'll see in a little bit. So yeah, 2 out of 5. Nice card. Not bad in a dragon deck. Might also help Revel in Riches treasure decks and some God decks to potentially come to rise from the ashes. So yeah, 2 out of 5. Glittering Frost. 2 and a green for a snow enchantment or a enchanted land. You enchant land, and the enchanted land is a snow land now. It was a snow permanent. Whenever enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of any color. So make a thing a snow land, adds for another land. It's good. It's not bad actually. Like 2 out of, yeah. It's ramp. It's green. It's got good synergy in that it's a snow permanent that makes other things snow. So, and it's like ramp. It's not that bad. Like a 2 out of 5. It's not, and it's not gonna I think break the format, but it's not bad. Giants Amulet. 1 blue for an artifact equipment. When Giant's Amulet enters the battlefield, you may pay 3 and a blue. If you do, create a 4/4 blue Giant Wizard token. Then attach Giant's Amulet to it. Equipped creature gets +1, +0, +1, and this creature has hexproof as long as it's untapped. I mean, maybe if wizards or giants, it appears that giants will also have a lot of wizard synergy to them. Maybe like a 2, like a 2 out of 5. It's nice that if it needs to, it's like a 5-mana 4/4 giant wizard, so it can like support some wizard fun and some giant fun. So maybe wizard will go into a more like kind of value-y, mid-rangey type of thing in this set, which will be good for Strixhaven when it comes up. And more wizard support, the best is better, and it might. So yeah, like a 2 out of 5. I can see it's helping a new deck form and an existing deck get a little bit stronger, as well as have access to like a new build pattern kind of thing. Leaving, honey? So yeah, 2 out of 5, Giant's Amulet. Moving on. Okay, so not all giants are wizards, but they will appear to have some wizard synergy, which is good. Calamity Bearer. Ah, crap. Well, how bad would we just totally shit the bed? Oh, God. Alright, pardon. We really shit the bed. Me. Gotta go back to where we were beforehand, which won't be that long. Alright, Calamity Bearer. 2 and 2 red for a 3/4 Giant Berserker. If a giant source you would control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage instead. There's actually some pre-existing. You might be able to do Jeskai Giants, actually. We'll go like a 2 out of 5, honestly. It doesn't have a whole lot of... It doesn't have any reach or, like... And it's an okay body, but it helps, like, your Bone Crushers and that giant... That is it... Giant synergy earlier, and things like that giant sweeper from that giant, I guess it was an adventure card, so the Eldraine giant that sweeps non-giants and then is a big stomp on giant might actually support some Jeskai. I might actually give this a 3 out of 5. It will help burn well, it will like 3 because I have a soft spot in my heart for giants. It's I see it as a... Do I really see it as... Yeah, we'll go 3. Fuck it, we'll stick to my guns. Will help with existing giant synergy in the form of... Actually, we'll go 2 because I don't know if Stomp and Bone Crusher Giant, if Stomp is considered a giant spell, because it is considered a giant source. 2 out of 5, maybe 3, depending on how rules work. So that it can, like, help again. Hell, it is an okay source of damage itself when it starts swinging. It can hit for 6. Helps other giants, and from both before this and now, get some extra help. And giants have a good theme here. So yeah, like a 2 out of 5, honestly. Niche applications, but in those niches it'll be pretty good. 2 out of 5. Bredegard Stronghold enters the battlefield tapped. It's a land, and you can... Bredegard Stronghold is a land that enters the battlefield tapped and taps for green. For green and 2 white, you can tap and sack the Stronghold to put a 1/1 counter on each of up to 2 creatures you control. They gain Vigilance and Lifelink. until end of turn. Activate this ability at any time you can cast a sorcery. There is some green-white Selesnya kind of Boz-Riquette Conclave Channeler, whatever that card is. Selesnya has some 1/1 synergy, so maybe like a. The fact that it's tapped does hold it back a little bit, but it's fun. It's like a 2 out of 5. Good tribal support. I love tribal sets, man. So yeah, good like. Well, this isn't really tribal. We'll call it theme support or tribal support. Not bad. The fact that it's tapped does help to kind of balance it. So yeah, we'll like a 2 out of 5. Might actually see some play. Next is Forging the Tyrite Sword. 1 and a red and a white for another saga. First two first 2 chapters of the saga create a treasure token. And then you can search your library for a card named Halvar, God of Battle, or any just generic equipment card. Reveal it and then put it into your hand. That's not bad. It's not awful, but it is basically what, a 3-mana turn 3. You're creating a treasure. Turn 4, you're taking a treasure. Turn 5, you're tutoring. All right. What is effectively a 3-mana, but sort of tutor either for a very particular card in Halvar, God of Battle, which we saw earlier, or just a generic equipment card. If Boros Equip is a good deck, it might actually see some play. Or if Halvar, God of Battle becomes really good, it might see some play. It's like a 2 out of 5. It's not awful. Some treasure tokens for some ramps, so you can make something happen in the meantime. So you don't like just totally go down on mana for having played it. So it actually only cost 1. So yeah, like a 2 out of 5. The treasure token's actually more important than I thought it was at first glance. Next, Path to the World Tree. 1 and a green enchantment. When Path to the World Tree enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle your library. 2 in Wooburg, and then you sack Path to the World Tree. You gain 2, draw 2, target opponent loses 2. Path to the World Tree deals 2 damage to a creature, and you get a 2/2 bear. Good 5-color. What is that? Golos kind of tech like support. It's nice. It fixes. Yeah, like 2 out of 5. It helps fix your land or fix your mana by finding you a basic. Can pay off in some fun Niv Mizzet Gola style deck kind of sort of thing. But we'll only really ever see play in a deck like that in some World Tree style deck. That's what yeah. So that's 2 out of 5. Yes, Raven Form, the card that everybody is losing their fucking mind over. I think this card is a 1 out of 5. It is actively bad. 2 and a blue for a sorcery. Exile target artifact or creature. A controller makes a 1/1 bird with flying, and you can foretell it for 1. I do not see a situation maybe other than maybe mono blue tempo, and even then this is a budget choice that immediately gets replaced once you find something better. This is like a 1 out of 5. People are losing their mind. Though granted, it's more of the color pie break, but I think that's okay. Every once in a while, colors should be able to break the color pie, and nobody like have a goddamn cow. The Trickster God's Heist. 2, a blue and a black for a saga. First chapter, you may exchange control of 2 target creatures. So it's a switcheroo, basically. Second is you may exchange control of 2 target non-basic, non-creature permanents that share a card type. And then third is target player loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. That is... Huh. I see some fun, goofy shit happening from this. I like Tybalt in the bottom. Looks really cool. Will it be terribly good? No. Will you see some like silly, like switcheroo Grixis style decks? Maybe. Hello, welcome again, honey. Father, I have returned! Goddamn, cat. I love you. But, like, it's got limits, man. Oh, my fucking arm is fucked beyond belief now. Thank you. But, Dad, you weren't petting me. So, yeah, Trickster got heist, 2 out of 5. Got some beam potential. Might be able to do some cool stuff with it. But it won't fit into anything right now. But I can see it, like, finding a place somewhere. I know, honey. Welcome back. Let's see. Next is Kolvori, God of Kinship. 2 and 2 green for a 2-mana legendary god. As long as you control 3 or more legendary creatures, again, what I alluded to earlier, of Abzan having some real Legends Matter. Synergy is good. But as long as you control 3 or more legendary creatures, which is including itself, gets +4, +2 in Vigilance, so it could be a 4-mana 6/6. And then you can, 1 and a green, tap, look at the top 6 cards of your library, you may reveal a legendary creature card from among them and put them into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And its flip side, or its other side, is the Ringheart Crest. 1 and a green for a legendary artifact. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Add a green, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell if it's the chosen type or a legendary creature spell. Honestly, it's like, as I find more legendary artifacts, or legendary support, I could see this being a 4 out of 5 here. Like, really good. It's like a good creature on its own. Pretty good pretty good legendary matter support. You can help kind of curate and get some good draws out of it as you need it. And if nothing else, early on it can just be a 2-mana artifact. I think we might actually really do some Legends Matter kind of mid-rangey, beat-downy kind of deck. So we'll go 4 out of 5. I see this having really, really good potential, but I don't think it's going to break the game. But it'll be pretty good. Next, Hailstorm Valkyrie. 3 and a black for a 2/2 snow creature angel wizard. Where it has flying and trample, and for 2 snow mana, you can give it +2/+2 until end of turn. It's not bad. Snow creature, so it's snow permanent, angel and wizard, both of which are relevant creature types in the format. The body leaves something to be desired, but that's the balance point. It's supposed to be like that. You can pump it to get real big. You can do your best Doom Whisperer impression, kind of. Like a 2 out of 5. It dips its toes in enough like tribal and synergy support to not be awful in any one of them. 2 out of 5 won't set the world on fire, but isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. Next, Sculptor of Winter is 1 and a green for a 2/2 elf snow creature elf rogue, where you can tap to untap a target snowland. So it's a 2-mana bear. I love you, honey. Hang on. It's alright, you can hang out with Dad. But Dad's gotta, like, sit his booty down in a very particular place here for this to work. But yeah, a 2-mana 2/2 that can untap Snowland. It can ramp you pretty big. Nothing to scoff at. But you'll only really go from, like, 3 mana to maybe, like, 5 or 6 mana on turn 3 when you play it. I give it like a 2 out of 5. It's an elf. It's kind of important. The rogue is technically supported, but it's green, so that doesn't really help. The fact that you can tap some untapped snowlands and you can get a little scree with your mana, like a 2 out of 5. Pretty inoffensive. I could see it popping off when it does, but more than likely it'll just be like another ramp spell. So yeah, Sculptor of Winter, 2 out of 5. Cosmos Charger, 3 and a blue for a 3/3. Flash flying for telling cards from your hand cost 1 less from the 2 mana in the second clause here, and can be done on any player's turn. That would imply, however, that foretelling, at least tucking it away at first, is a sorcery speed action, which is good to know. So yeah, 4 mana, 3/3, flash flying. Unless, like a 2 out of 5. I mean, It's got some Mimi Dream potential in Horse Tribal, because I believe that's still a thing. Because that Crested Sunmare, I think, is in Amonkhet Mastery thing, maybe. But if it's not, it's it's got some Foretell synergy. It's like a shaky 2 out of 5. Because I mean, it's oh, that's not good. Okay, we're gonna pardon this weird transition, but this is taking longer than I expected. So we're gonna have to do a really weird, like scene transition here, but it'll be fine. Oh, I see what we need to do. F11. And I believe that this is... Yes, I am still watching. Whoop. Now we got that. One moment. Again, pardon, we gotta make sure this is all still working and nothing is exploding, because I've been doing this for a hot minute. Alright, we're an hour in. I do apologize for this, okay, good, I thought it really fucked me. For the little, break-in immersion here. To be fair, YouTube is doing the right thing. Now, where were we? Oh yeah, Cosmos Charger. A shaky 2 out of 5 could be real garbage real fast. Coma's Faithful. 2 and a black for a 3/1 elf cleric with lifelink. When it dies, each player mills 3 cards. It's got lifelink, so it's okay against other matchups. It's like it has some relevant creature types in elf and cleric. You probably wouldn't run it in a deck that cares about elf or clerics. So this is probably more of a Fuel the Graveyard style deck, which they can exist. And they do, there's like some Golgari fun stuff. Like Golgari mulch style decks, kind of, or Graveyard Matter style decks that do exist. But you also got to be really careful about milling your opponent with like the absolute gaggles of Uros here. You don't want to give that. So like, or you don't want to give them potential Uro fuel faster. I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 5 that maybe possibly could like break through to a 2 if some very unforeseen shit might happen. There's just no reason why. There's so much fill your own graveyard stuff that already exists in black that you don't need it unless you're really strapped for uncommon wild cards. Maybe is the only time. But like, you already have Stitcher Supplier in black, and if you want to go to the Golgari like graveyard synergy that exists in the format, you can really, okay. It is still like a 1 out of 5 with some potential to burst up into like a 2, maybe, though I wouldn't see it. Mono black, or black has enough self-mill in the form of like a Stitcher Supplier that it doesn't do anything there. If you're really, really struggling, say if you want to do some sort of like Golgari fill your own yard thing, you can just run like Glowspore Shaman and that one human that doubles as a mana dork or a self-miller. Or even if you want to run some sort of like Dimir Dredgeless Dredge kind of thing, which is a fun little project. Blue already brings enough to the table here that like this doesn't really do anything. And again, you don't want to run it in elf or cleric decks. Weirdly, the fact that it's a 3/1 with lifelink, the lifelink might be the most relevant thing on that card. And maybe in draft it might be useful, but even then, I don't draft that often, but boy does that seem like chaff to me. 1 out of 5. Moving on. 1 out of 5 with potential, so it's like 1 out of 5 with an asterisk. Village Rites, I believe a reprint. 1 mana instant. There's no cost to cast this spell. Sack a creature, draw 2 cards. Yeah, this is a reprint. It's fine. Pre-existing decks exist for it. Like a 2 out of 5. There's enough Rakdos shenanigan bullshit that exists. Rakdos or Jund, cat oven decks that exist that enjoy this deck and having it. So it's like a 2 out of 5. It's a reprint. And is common enough you'll see it every once in a while. Next, Seize the Spoils. 2 in a red for a sorcery that, as an additional cast to cost this... Pardon. As an additional cast... Fuck! Did it again. Damn you, dyslexia. As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card. There's a lot of goddamn C's in that sentence. Draw 2 cards and create a treasured token. Weirdly, that's actually not that bad. In some sort of Revel in Riches deck, this might come in. Might actually be like a card you see. I think it might be... This is either an actual reprint or a practical reprint. Practically a reprint of a card in Ixalan, I think. So it might see some play in some Revel to Riches style thing, or some Magda treasure synergy thing. And might actually see play in your, like, Glinthorn, Buccaneer, discardy, maybe even the occasional, like, Cycle Flare deck. And maybe if, maybe even as a alternative in, like, your, is it Phoenix style decks? Like a good solid 2 out of 5. Next. Oh, boy. Iska, God of the Tree. Or Iska, God of the... What Iska? Iska, God of the Tree. Front half is a 1 and 2 green for a 1/4 legendary god. With Vigilance and tap to add 1 mana of any color, where other legendary creatures you control have Vigilance and tap for 1. Alright! Again, good legendary matters theme. It's a 3 mana dork that helps your other legendaries tap to summon other legendary synergy. Hell, pretty good if you have like a Sisay or a Kethis and you don't have the ability to make use. That's actually not that bad. What's the backside? The Prismatic Bridge for Wooburg for a legendary enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature or planeswalker card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom in a random order. This is a really good card. It's really good, actually. I might actually see this as a 3 to 5. Front half has good legendary synergy. It can be a good color fixer. And the back, the Wooburg cost, if you're playing a Golos or a Niv Mizzet, or even a Shrines deck. Although Shrines might be a little less inclined to run this. Wait. Reveal cards from the top until you hit it. So you hit something. This is a absolutely rock solid card, especially in the decks that it can fit into. The legendary matters theme is nice, but is just gravy. But like your Golos or Niv Mizzet decks or your 5-color, your Gates will love this too. This is a 3 to 5. This is damn good. I don't think it's going to shatter the format because you can fuck with it a lot, like pretty easily. But yeah, 3 to 5. Good, solid, absolute all-star in a couple decks and helps to bump up a fringe deck. 3 to 5. Coma, Cosmos Serpent. 3, 2 blue, 2 green for a legendary creature serpent that's 6/6. Can't be countered. I don't know what song's coming next. Good. Hopefully this will end quickly enough. Anywho. Let's see. God damn. 3, 2 green, 2 blue, 6/6 serpent, legendary that can't be countered. At the beginning of each upkeep, more of a commander card, create a 3/3 blue serpent token named Coma's Coil. At any time, you can sack another serpent to choose one. Tap target permanent. Its activated abilities can't be activated this turn, or it gains indestructible. It's like a... I'd give it like a 1 out of 5. Yeah, it's like a big splashy blue-green mythic that can't be countered. But it's good that these are being dialed back a little bit. So this is it's a 1 out of 5, and it's good that it is. This card is probably much better in Commander, but in Historic, the can't be countered thing doesn't count for dick, because there's a lot of those Aether Bridges and fucking with things on the stack. So that basically doesn't exist, or is of very little consequence. Making the 3/3 Serpent Coil thing, I mean, it can help a game get out of hand, but it has to live. Like, I mean, and being able to sacrifice a permanent to the Serpent to give it indestructible is nice. But, man, I mean, okay, this might... we might bump it up to like a 2 out of 5. But that's like a flimsy 2 out of 5. I can see this totally just not existing in Historic at all, and would not be surprised at all. You could just run like an Uro, or even a... Hi, Carmel. Hi, your sister was here with me a little while ago. Hi, baby girl. Yeah, like a 2 out of 5. There are better blue-green finishers in the game, though it's not awful. Like, if it's all you got, you run it, and you aren't going to hate your life. 2 out of 5, and even then, that's a flimsy 2 out of 5. Ah, yes. The World Tree. Okay, this has the potential to be a little fucking crazy, but I don't think it will be in Historic. I think there's a lot of land hate and shit. Even then, like, you could turn off... Okay, anyway. The World Tree, land, enters the battlefield tapped. It taps for a green, and as long as you control 6 or more lands you control have tapped to add 1 mana of any color. For a double Wooburg, you can tap and sack the World Tree to search the library for any number of God cards and put them onto the battlefield. There's a card here... Okay. In Historic, this might see play. There are enough gods. I doubt there will. You might run a copy or two in your Golos-style deck that runs a lot of gods. Is like basically another card you run in an old god deck that isn't a god itself. The fixing is actually pretty goddamn relevant. It might actually be a real issue. But you can shut it off with cages and stuff, or your Sharns if you run. Or even like an Aven Mind Sensor if you really want to like fuck with people's days. Or the occasional Ashiok to like fuck up his ability to like not let him search his library. You can Blood Moon or Alpine Moon naming the World Tree if you're in red. Hell, if you're in white, you can, again, besides the Aven Mind Sensor style thing, you can just, like, if you want to be really fucking silly, you can run, like, your Fall of the Thrawn or whatever saga and start blowing up lands. It's like 2 out of 5. It's nice. It's probably one of the better lands printed in a long time in the terms of fixing. It's slow. Look at Pleasant Vince, also known as Pleasant Kenobi, on the internet. Watch his video. I share a lot of his concerns and a lot of his criticisms. I don't think it'll be that important, but it won't be bad. Like a 2 out of 5. Freya, Judge of Valor, is a white and 2 black for a legendary angel cleric. It's 2/4, has flying and lifelink. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, look at the top 3 cards of your library, 1 in your hand, rest in the yard. Could I see some fun stuff happening in Commander? Yeah, maybe Brawl, but probably not. Got a second spell. Well, okay. If you're running like Orzhov Angels or Orzhov clerics, you might want the extra card draw. So it helps prop up that a little bit. Hell, and I guess maybe if you want to make it like the top end of your Orzhov Soul Sister Life Gainy style deck, you can. And both of those decks sort of lack some card draw, but it's not impossible to reach the 2 spell limit. So like, another shaky 2 out of 5 might happen. I wouldn't bet money. I wouldn't bet a buck on it, but maybe like a shaky 2 out of 5. Tigrid, God of Fright. Let's see, 3 and 2 black for. God damn, we have a lot. Got 3 and 2 black for a legendary creature god that's 4/5 with menace. Whenever an opponent sacks a non-token permanent or discards a permanent card, you may put that card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Non-token. It just says permanent. You know, I thought when I first saw this card, I thought it was shit. But it does hit lands. Being able to, like, discard and, like, in some sort of, like, discardy, like, shenaniganry, and being able to, like, net some lands off it? Alright, maybe. Not bad. There's some zhuzh, some extra spice there that's tickling the brew brain. Tigrid's Lantern, on the flip side, is 3 and a black for a legendary artifact. Tap, and target player loses 3 life unless they sack a non-land or discard a card. And you can pay 3. You can pay its casting cost of 3 and a black to untap it. So you can make them sack a lot. You can get a lot on the battlefield if you have both the front and the back half of the card. I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5. I see some potential for some fun stuff, but who knows? So yeah, we'll go 3 out of 5 because I see some fun stuff happening with that. Next, Blizzard Brawl. 1 green for a snow sorcery. Choose target creature you control and target creature you don't. If you control 3 or more snow permanents, the creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains indestructible. Then regardless, those 2 fight each other. Alright, it's fine. Nice snow removal for green. Not gonna set the world on fire. Snow payoff. It's like a 2 out of 5. It's alright. Let's see. Next is Iron Verdict. Let's see. 2 and a white for an instant. Deals 5 damage to target tap creature. One of these. Here, let's see. 1 second. I apologize. I have a text message from my family that I need to respond to because I don't want to deal with that crap later on. Oh, thank God I have some really good, like, elevator music in the background in the form of the Super Mario World overworld map music. So yeah, Iron Verdict. It's like bad. It's one of those. It's a white teaching card. It's 1 out of 5. Will likely never see play outside of a starter deck or say a deck that like one of those decks that Wizards give you when you do the tutorial. It's a very good teaching card. And maybe Pauper could see some play. It's like a 1 out of 5, but it's fine. It's not bad. It's a teaching card. It's there and good removal in limited. So yeah, like a 1 out of 5. But it's a good 1 out of 5. Waking the Trolls is a 4 and a red and a green for a saga, First, destroy target land. So another thing to fuck with the World Tree. Second chapter, put target land card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So you can actually yoink other people's lands. Not bad. Or yoink other people's destroyed lands, which is not bad. Third chapter, choose target opponent. If they control fewer lands than you, create a number of 4/4 green troll warrior creature tokens with trample equal to the difference. Ooh. Which is good that, like, it would appear that some sort of land destruction is going to be somewhat prevalent in the format. Well, in this set. It's already somewhat easy enough to fuck with people's lands in the format. So that's good. Which will be a good limiter to how strong the World Tree can be. But some sort of, like, red-green land destruction. Maybe a couple Ravager Worms in there, too. 2 out of 5. Weird, like, land destruction synergy card, which is nice. Yeah, 2 out of 5. Ah, this Dragon Nest Berserker. I don't think I'd put this in my Atarka Commander deck. If it's any consolation. Anywho, Dragon Nest Berserker. 1 in a red for a 2/2 human Berserker with first strike. And Boast abilities you activate cost 1 less to activate for each dragon you control. Boast is 4 in a red to create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. Where you activate this ability if you, again, attack with a creature this turn, and you can only activate it once. It's like if that one red mana dragon speaker shaman dude, like, got pissed and hit the gym. Like, is it actively bad? No. Might it see play? Maybe. I'm gonna give it like a shaky, like, and the human and the berserker theme. I know humans have support. Berserkers do have some support. It's an okay blocker. And the boast is nothing to sleep on. It's just not gonna, like, set the world on fire. So it's like a 2 out of 5. A little shaky, but it's a 2 out of 5. Doomscar Oracle. Is that a snow mana? No, it's a white mana that just looks weird. Doomscar Oracle. 2 and a white for a 3/2 human cleric. When you cast the second spell each turn, or your second spell each turn, you gain 2 life. And you can foretell it for 1. So it's gonna be some sort of is that like Orzhov's, like, synergy is a second spell each turn kind of thing? Other than maybe, like, all kind of a poppery budget Soul Sisters deck, I wouldn't. Again, it's like a teaching card, so I'd be surprised if it really breaks through. But it's a teaching card that has possible maybe use in a Soul Sisters deck, so we'll give that one a shaky 2. Saw It Coming is a... Okay. People are losing their goddamn mind over this card. Okay? And I understand why on paper. Or, well, in theory. I guess on paper is literal, consider the card. But Saw It Coming is 1 and 2 blue for a counter target spell. The going rate for counter spells. That's just the way that it is. It's fine. What people are getting their, like, britches and his shit about is its foretell cost for 1 in a blue. That it, like, as a person who actually enjoys, like, will spend a good day or 2 in a row playing wizard aggro, basically, in Historic, I can tell you Wizard's Retort is nice. That shit is not broken. It's nice and it's funny, and you'll catch like 1 or 2 spells as people aren't remembering it. But, like, the longer this card is in the collective knowledge pool, much like OG Counterspell and Wizard's Retort, the less and less surprise factor it'll get. It'll fuck people up and, like, make them really brick some spells for, like, the first week, but I imagine people will see that it will, like, simmer down after a while and not be nearly that good. So it's like 2 out of 5. It's fine. Going right for a counterspell can be a both more expensive and less expensive Wizard's Retort kind of thing. 2 out of 5. Spectral Steel. 1 and a white for an enchantment aura and enchant target creature. Where the enchanted creature gets +2/2. You pay 1 and a white, exile Spectral Steel from your graveyard. Oh, we're doing the Donkey Kong Country thing? Sure, why not? Fuck it. Okay, actually, one moment here. I apologize. Let me see what's going to be playing next. Ah, shit. It's fine. I love me some Donkey Kong Country. Why not? Spoiler, we're going to be listening to the same song twice, probably. And I apologize. Back to the list. Again, at the beginning of this video, I did warn you about the jury-rigged nature of all of my setups. Anywho, Spectral Steel, enchant... Well, let's do it again. Spectral Steel, 1 and a white, enchanted creature gets +2/+2, and it's an aura. 1 and a white, exile Spectral Steel from your graveyard. Return another target aura or equipment card from your graveyard to your hand. That's not that bad, actually. If you're playing an Enchantress deck or an equipment deck, a little recursion's nice. It's actually, like, sort of a tool in white, which is, like, actually kind of relevant. I wonder if good old Pleasant Kenobi Vince bothered to look at this card. I mean, it's not gonna, like, make him happy, and it isn't necessarily what you want, but it's nothing to scoff at in some, like, mono-white Death and Taxes. But yeah, it's like a 2 out of 5. Some nice, you know, friend support for some weird archetypes that don't get a whole lot of love, but could. 2 out of 5. It's fine. Reckless Crew. 3 and a red for a sorcery. Create X/2/1 red dwarf creature tokens, where X is the number of vehicles you control, plus the number of equipment you control. For each of those tokens, you may attach equipment to it. Some dwarf tribal stuff, some dwarf tribal love, kind of. Some vehicle love, some equipment love. Again, it dips its toes in enough tribal support that it's like not bad in any one of them. It's fine. Probably not going to set the world on fire, but it won't suck. 2 out of 5. Rise of the Dreadman. 2 and a black for instant. Create X/2/2 black zombie berserker creature tokens, where X is the number of non-token creatures that died this turn, and you can foretell it for a black. It's nice to okay. Unless zombies. Okay, well, it has zombie. We have zombie support in the card pool in Historic, and Berserker support will be, I believe, in this set. Pretty cheap foretell cost for like a board wipe recovery tool. It helps. Okay, so yeah, it dips into a couple of tribal pools, so that's pretty good. Instant speed, board protection for any deck, regardless if you care about those tribes. If you're like an aggro deck in black, and if your aggro deck happens to be those things, yeah, like a good solid 2. 2 with maybe the potential to bust into like a 3, but even then, Oh. No. I didn't reset the progress. Pardon. I didn't think this would take this long. I had only kind of prepped this for a couple hours. And we're fastly going past that time. Actually, you know what? Since we're here, I'm going to sit here and, again, pardon the Inception nature for a second. Look away if you don't want your brain to break. Good. Still recording. We're back. Grim Draugr. Back to the list anyway. Next card is Grim Draugr. 2 and a black for a snow creature, Zombie Berserker. That's 3/2. Oh man, Popper's gonna eat this snow stuff up. God, Popper looks like it will be a pretty fun thing. Or it seems like Popper will think this is fun. But that's not why we're here, damn it. Let's see, 3 mana, 2 and a black for a 3/2 snow creature, Zombie Berserker. For 1 in a snow, gets +1/0, +1/+0, and menace until end of turn. You know, that's really not that bad, actually. Like, it's a teaching tool all day long. But it's like a teaching tool that, like, does have some tribal support. And zombies, they might actually see play in zombies. Berserkers are a bit of an unknown, so we're not going to count. I'm going to put this one as a 2. I'm a sucker for tribal cards. It's not bad. Yeah, 2 out of 5. We'll go with that. Search for Glory. 2 and a white for a snow sorcery. Search your library for a snow permanent card, legendary card, or saga card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. You gain 1 life for each snow mana spent to cast it. So it's like a 3 mana tutor for a snow perm, a legend, or a saga that can gain up to 3 life depending on the situation. Snow synergy, a tutor, 4 snow legendaries or sagas. This is a good solid 2. Not bad. I think this would be better if it was like maybe 1 of each or up to 2 of those cards to give like white actual card draw. But so like, you know, good old Pleasant Kenobi might have something. But like a good 2 out of 5. Rally the Ranks. Oh, this is a reprint of some other card from the spoiler I saw of it. 1 and a white, as Rally the Ranks enters the battlefield to choose a creature type. And creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1. Are you playing white and are you playing tribal? Put this card in it. It's a 2 mana lord. It's really not that bad. It can go in, I believe Berserkers have some love in white. I actually can see a lot of weird, like, besides Berserkers getting something in the set. Can you name... I don't know if you can name legendaries, so we're not going to count that. Berserkers are possible, humans are possible, clerics are possible. Hell, even, like, your weird soldiers might be a thing. Vampires could be a thing. We're gonna give this one it's a really, really solid and pretty high 2 that might actually bump into a 3, depending on how the meta flows out. It's just a good card. Name whatever creature type you're running, and if you're in white, make all those things bigger. So like a good, solid, healthy 2 with the I see potential to maybe break into a 3. God's Hall Guardian. We're getting into the draft cards now. It is a cat, though, and I am a cat dad to 2 very sweet babies. So that helps. And I mean, cats do have weird support, but probably not enough for that to matter here. Let's see, 5 and a white for 3/6 Vigilance, where you can foretell it for 4. I know, I mentioned cat, and you're like, what, Dad? Hello. Are we gonna... Alright. Yeah. Good girl. I can't really go ahead and mention other sweet fur babies, but without you getting a little tiny bit jelly. But it's alright. It is it's draft filler. It's not bad. In draft, I can see myself taking it and being pretty happy. It's a good teaching card. if you were like really desperate for some like Ren and Seri kind of fun stuff in Historic, you can make it happen. And maybe some cat tribal if you're really like trying to just get all the cats in there. So, if you foretell it, it's pretty good actually for a common. Paying basically 4 mana for a 3/6 trampler 3/6 vigilance is actually not a bad gig. We're gonna give this one a shaky 2. Because if you get it up for its foretell cost, which is not terribly difficult, it's not bad. Arguably kind of good. And if you really wanted to hope, I mean, it's got some cat synergies, so there's that. If you are a cat dad, like I am, isn't that right, sweet baby girl? And maybe if you're running a lot of foretell synergy, not bad. And it's actually a pretty good teaching card. Hi, honey. Don't be an asshole to your sister. She's not taking time away. She is not stealing father away. Don't be an ass. That sounds like you being an ass. Pardon that. When she thinks that her sister is gonna... Sorry, needed to scooch the table she was on to get her to chill out with that. Yeah, but when she sees that her sister is somehow gonna like steal me away, it's not gonna happen, honey. You're fine. Hang on. I'm running out of drink. Iska's Chariot is, let's see, 3 and a green for a legendary artifact vehicle. Oh, please don't let that... Hey! Don't be a... Yeah, come lie down. Yeah, lie down there. Lie down there. Or at least give me back my mouse, please. Pardon the excess noise. Oh yes, we were on Iska's Chariot. Let's see. 3 and a green, legendary artifact vehicle. It's 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, create 2/2 green cat creature tokens. My baby girls are not quite this fluffy because they aren't like those Norwegian like whatever those like basically they get kind of fluffy in the winter like they are, but really this. This is basically like, this card's made for me, my sweet baby girls. As one of them is in a box right now, their own little cherry. But the card itself, creates its 2/2 green cat tokens. When it attacks, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. It's like 2 out of 5. Some vehicle support. Cat tribal token topping. It makes its own crew. 2 out of 5. Vega the Watcher. 1 a white and a blue for legendary bird spirit. Flying, whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, draw a card. That card is not really that good. It's not bad. I mean, it's a 2-minute 2/2. It's alright. It's like a shaky 2. It's just a dirtily do that, like, you have to jump through a lot of hoops to draw a card at a time. Shaky 2 out of 5. Quakebreaker. 3 and 2 red for a giant berserker. That's 5/4. Your opponents can't gain life. At the beginning of your upkeep, Quakebringer deals 2 damage to each opponent. This ability only triggers if Quakebringer is on the battlefield or if it is in your graveyard and you control a giant. That's actually pretty good. You can't gain life, and you can foretell it for 4. From that, I think this is actually a 3. It's like a nice kind of big red. It's got Berserker synergy. It's got Giant synergy. This coming out on turn 4 and even turn 5 is not that bad. can really help to like sort of like apply pressure and a clock to the game. Can really hose Soul Sisters deck, which are more common than you'd think. And if nothing else, can also mess up a Uro life gain ability. I really like this, actually. I'm a sucker for Giants. I'm happy that they get their own set. It's like a 3 out of... And if you... This is a 3 that might actually... This is a, like, middle, like a good solid 3. That might become a real high 3 if that Giant Saga from earlier can reduce the foretell cost to 2 red. And you can like really make like good like high tempo plays. Be pretty goddamn good. Undersea Invader, Giant Rogue. What's the term? Oxymoron, I believe. 4 and 2 blue for a Giant Rogue with Flash that's 5/6 and enters the battlefield tapped. This is a probably, honestly, pretty goddamn good draft card. It's like a teaching card. Otherwise, it's fine. It's like a 1 out of 5 that has maybe some potential in Giant decks. You never run it in a Rogue deck. There's so many better things, but it's a very good teaching card, like a good solid 1, which again is not necessarily a bad thing in this case. Next, Replicating Ring, a 3 mana snow artifact, which is you can tap for 1 mana of any color. And at the beginning of your upkeep, put a night counter on Replicating Ring. Then, if it has 8 or more night counters on it, remove all of them and create 8 colorless snow artifact tokens named Replicated Ring. That's something. Huh. It's a snow artifact, which is good. At worst, it's a mana rock, which is alright. What's really got the brewer's brain tingling here is like some inexorable tide and a whole bunch of like green and blue proliferate, and then like powering out something big, like silly, like a Banefire maybe for like 1 billion damage. So I'm gonna give this like a 2 out of 5 because I see some brewing potential in this card. But outside of that, you might see it played, but I would be very surprised. Outside of like some fun brewing stuff. Broken Wings, which I believe is a reprint. Which is, and Broken Wings is 2 and a green for an instant. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. Just nice removal. Pretty goddamn good and limited, actually, I'd imagine. But this is like, actually, no bullshit. I'd probably put it at like a 2. It's like fine. It's good sideboard hate. This card here, Broken Wings, kind of proves my point why that Shapeshifter dude from earlier, the 1/2 or the 2 mana 1/3, we gotta jump through a whole bunch of goddamn hoops just for the like sometimes extra synergy or usefulness of exiling. I'd rather just have a Broken Wings as opposed to that Changeling dude all day long. So it's like it's an okay 2. And it's a good teaching card. So yeah, like a good solid 2. Spirit of the Aldergard. 3 and a green for a 0/4 snow creature that's a bear spirit. When Spirit of the Aldergard enters the battlefield, search your library for a snow land card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Spirit of the Aldergard gets +1/+0 for each other snow permanent you can control. It's a snow permanent. The bear and the spirit, there is some spirit synergy, but it doesn't matter. And it's not in green, really. But it's like helpful little fixing and can get very, very big if you have some snow permanents. Maybe with that Replicating Ring you might get really big. I'm gonna give this like a 2 because like it's okay. It's fine at worst. Like, I could see it realistically being like maybe like a 2 mana or a 4 mana 2/4 that helps you get a land and get only bigger with snow permanents. I see some brewing potential, so we'll give it like a 2. Snakeskin Veil. That's cool and creepy art, but I'm in it. 1 mana instant, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Gains hexproof until end of turn. Well, in Historic, really, I guess the battle is between this and the Blossoming Defense. That gives you +2/+2 and hexproof until the end of the turn. Reasons why you would run Snakeskin Veil as opposed to that is if you value the counter for counter synergies, and you might say if you're like early on in the game and like uncommon wildcards can actually be a little bit rare for you, you might run Snakeskin Veil. It's like a 2 out of 5. It's just solid. Run like maybe 2 of in your main board if you're concerned about single target removal, which does happen. It's fine. 2 out of 5. Not bad at all. Next, Eradicator Valkyrie. 2 and 2 black for an Angel Berserker. That's 4/3. Flying, lifelink, and hexproof from Planeswalker, which is very, very niche. But I guess it's not awful to have. And Boast, you can say so Boast is 1 and a black. You have to sacrifice a creature. Then each opponent sacks a creature or a Planeswalker. Angel synergy is kind of relevant. Flying is nice. It's got lifelink, so that's good. So it can even go in your Soul Sister decks if you want them to that are Orzhov. You can go in your Berserker deck if you want to. An Angel deck if you want to. The hexproof from Planeswalkers is not super relevant right now, but might be in the future, or might just be a little extra gravy thrown on top. Being able to boast and sort of edict to get around some weird hexproof or untargetable things are nice. And it being repeatable, we'll give it like a good solid 3. Might even be a 4. But that boat... You know what? No, we'll actually probably give Eradicator Valkyrie like a 4. We'll give it like a shaky 4 that might that might slip back into a 3. It's got a lot of tribal synergies and like lifelinky synergies for like Soul Sisters, repeatable boast, okay body, good on curve, like a 4 out of 5. Skimfar Shadow Sage. That is a hell of a name and some kick-ass looking art, really. That's very pretty. I mean, all the art's pretty in this whole set. I love it, but this just like I like that purple and stuff. Pretty cool. Anywho, 3 and a black for an Elf Cleric. That's 2/5. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1. Each opponent loses X, where X is the greatest number of creatures you control that share a type. Ooh. Or you gain X life, where X is the greatest number of creatures you control that share a type. Ooh. If you're running Golgari Elves and you summon a massively wide board, that's actually really good. This might be a 3. It's got the Elf creature type, it's got the Cleric creature type, it's a 4 mana good card in either one of those decks to either, if you're nowhere near ending the game and you're about to lose the game, you can gain a fuck ton of life, and even you can gain some life if you really wanted to like try and squeeze some combination of like Cleric and Soul Sisters in Orzhov, you could. And maybe make something happen. But even if you're just an Elf or a Cleric, you can 4 mana drop it. And as long as it enters the battlefield, it doesn't even matter if it dies, really. And you can like just you can just drain your opponent basically, or kill your opponent hopefully on the spot. That's like actually like a 3 out of 5. That's actually a really solid card. Very good. I see a lot of potential there. Maskwood Nexus. 4 mana artifact. Creatures you control are every creature type. And the same is true for creature cards you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So basically, all creatures on the field, all creatures in your hand, also when they're on the stack, and creature cards in your yard. In your, say, yard or in your deck. And you can, for 3 mana, you can tap and make a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with change it. Again, watch Pleasant Kenobi's video on the Maskwood Nexus World Tree God token synergy thing to like basically empty your deck. It's really cool and really interesting. I'm gonna say 3 because it goes into like pretty much like 2 actually. It's like a weak 3 that'll more than likely become a 2 after the fun wears off of experimenting. Outside of that one God Tree Nexus or Maskwood God Tree combo that like makes all your creatures in your deck gods, and then you play the double Wooburg and you sack it and do all that shit, and you basically empty your deck onto the battlefield, that can win the game. Of course, it wins the game at that point, so I don't really mind. But other than that, you know, it's okay if you want to do some funny, goofy Minotaur tribal thing. I don't think I'd run it in like your vampires or your elves. Well, maybe elves, maybe, but elves is iffy. Merfolk and vampires don't really want it, and I don't think goblins needs it. And it's just a 4-mana dirtily artifact that just sits around and can be very easily destroyed or gotten rid of, which you should be able to. It would likely be smart to have some artifact hate in the sideboard of your deck for the first week because of cards like this. Like a 3 out of 5, that's a little shaky. Next, Draugr Necromancer. 3 and a black for Snow Creature, Zombie Cleric. It's a 4/4. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile that card with an ice counter on it instead. You may cast spells from among cards in exile your opponent's own with ice counters on them, and you may spend mana from snow sources only, as though it were mana of any color. Okay, so it's a 4-mana thing. It's zombie and cleric and a snow creature, so you have some tribal... 3 good tribes there. 4-mana 4/4, where you can... When a non-token creature... When something dies... Something real and chunky and important dies. When it dies, it gets exiled with an ice counter. Maybe you can bring it back, so like some sort of like steely, reanimatory fun stuff. And not to mention snow synergy, zombie synergy, cleric synergy, and it's actually pretty balanced about only being able to cast snow sources as any mana spell. I see 3. I'll give it a 3 out of 5. There's something there and some hope. But I think it's actually pretty balanced. But we'll see. 3 out of 5. We'll see how it goes. Annul is a 1-mana instant counter-target artifact or enchantment spell. It's nice. It's like a 2 out of 5. It's not going to set the world on fire right now, but it can. It's just... We need more low-to-the-ground like answers in Historic. And this can be an answer either in this format or something in the future. 2 out of 5, totally not offensive, isn't going to set the world on fire. Faceless Haven is a snow land itself, which does up the snow permanent count. You can tap to add a colorless, and pay 3 snow mana, and have Faceless Haven become a 4/3 creature with vigilance in all creature types until the end of the turn, and is still a land. It's nice, a snow land that can add for mana. Doesn't come into play tap, which is nice. Isn't legendary. And if you have 3 snow mana lying around, it can do your best Mobilized District or Crawling Barrens impression. Maybe this might go into mono brown or color, or any colorless deck really. We're gonna give this like a good solid 2 that maybe, depending on like how the meta forms, could be pretty useful. It's nice snow payoff. It's a land, so there's very low opportunity cost to putting it in. You can run several of them. It makes it colorless mana, so like, again, in your mono brown kind of Forsaken Monument, Rampant decks is something there. Good solid 2 with potential. Oh, we're almost done. And Haggy Mob, 4 and a red for a Troll Berserker, 5/4, and Boast. For 1 and a red, Haggy Mob deals 1 damage to any target. And then you have Kaya's Onslaught. Okay, so that's good. The Kaya appears to kill the Phyrexian, which is good, because that's a fucking problem we don't want. If we can nip that shit in the bud. Kaya's Onslaught is 2 and a white for a target. For an instant, the target creature gets +1/+1 and double strike until the end of the turn, and foretell for 1. That's good. I like the card because it appears that like Kaya's gonna have a hand in like at least stopping the Phyrexians or slowing them down, which is good. It might be a story spotlight card. A nice, pretty cheap little 1 mana foretold, or even 3 mana sometimes, combat trick. Give it a 2 out of 5. It's fine. It's not gonna, like, set the world on fire. But it's a good card. I suppose with that, after that very long video, we're not gonna... Or I'll explain, because this has been a very long video. I will attempt to continue off from this spot next time I do these. I'm not gonna do dailies, spoilers, because I have a job and things to do, so I literally don't have the time or the energy after work to do that. But on my off days, which are a couple, or more than one during the week, I have several days off during the week, so we'll do a one on one of my days off where we catch up from Kaya's Onslaught onward, which will take significantly less time. So that is our list, our video on as of what's the day's date? As of recording, January 11th, 2021. This is the as of now Kaldheim spoilers and how I think they'll impact the historic, basically best of 3, but historic as a whole meta game with accompanying little 5-star, little 5-star rating system. Thank you all for watching. Sub if you like the channel and you want to watch more, and like the video if you liked. And if I have any particular hot takes that you would like to respectfully disagree with, that's what the comments are for. But we can talk it out, baby. Everything's cool. With that saying, I'll also, and I will do another regular Magic deck techie video sometime soon in the next week. Haven't decided what it's going to be yet, but we'll figure that out later. Again, sub, like, comment if you want to. See you in the next video. Have fun, play games, be chill.